Hey adventurers, so today is going to be another book review. This is going to be for Dune by Frank Herbert. This is a sci-fi or a science fantasy actually, epic story, political, philosophical, lots of things that are going on with this book and with this series. Dune by Frank Herbert is the first book in a series that, from what I understand, becomes increasingly more weird, more philosophical, at least for the first several books that Frank Herbert wrote and that before his son took over. But I haven't made it past book one yet, so I don't actually know if that's true or not. From what people say about it, I think it is, and I do plan to read more, but I don't know yet. What can I actually say about Dune though? The story is massive, and there's so much to say about it, but there's also so much that's already been said, and I probably don't have anything to add to the conversation. I just want to give my review because I've now read it twice. I didn't review it the first time I read it, and I'm reviewing pretty much every book that I read this year, so I wanted to throw up a review for this one as well. This seems to be a fairly common opinion, even though it doesn't really make sense why we all think this, but I love desert settings, I've heard that lots of other people love desert settings as well. The harsh environment for me is it's a perfect setting to tell a story in. What I want books to do, and one of the things that this one certainly does, is show how people live in this different environment and then show me why they live there, why they haven't left, why they haven't sought for an easier life. This also ties into one of the things that is one of the surest ways to get me invested in a story, and that is by exploring cultures. So much about this book is exploring the Fremen culture, and this is one of the things that Dune is known for. And that alone is enough to make me love the book and enjoy my time reading it. But then we get into the actual story of the book itself. This is a heavily political tale while still being filled with action. And I'm talking about in-world politics, not our world politics. I really don't like when I see our world politics seeping their way into stories. That just a very quick way to turn me off to a story. And that, I feel like, it wasn't the case with this book. I'm sure there is to some degree, because that's how all science fiction is pretty much to some degree. But I feel like for the most part it's the in-world politics, and it doesn't worry about our world politics so much. But even without the politics, there's a great story being told here with the prophecy, the Bene Gesserit, the need for survival, and so much more that makes up Dune and what Dune is. It's clear that this is just the beginning of what's going on. We do get some level of conclusion in this book, but it definitely is not the end, and you can tell that when you're reading the book. You can tell that we are not going to accomplish everything even that we are seeing set up at the beginning of this book. We're not going to see it accomplished at the end of this book. Especially since there are all these visions of the future, but those events haven't happened yet by the last page of Dune. I also find that I love these characters. Duke Leto is probably my favorite character in these books, and I don't know if that's an uncommon opinion or not, but I want to like Paul. I really want to like his character. He's an interesting character, and you want to root for him. He's the protagonist, and you should like the protagonist to some degree. The problem is that you can see his issues. You can see where his story is taking him, and how being a prophesied Messiah character isn't a good thing in this situation. I don't know, because I haven't actually continued on with the series yet, but I will find out. But all those things, the way that characters are done in this book, I really like Duke Leto, and I really want to like Paul, but I like the character, but I don't like the person. I can tell that I'm not going to like the person he is. Before I continue on with this review though, I'd just quickly like to say, if you're liking what you're seeing from an Erudite adventurer, we'd really appreciate it if you would like, comment, and subscribe. I mentioned this already, but this was a reread for me, so upon this reread I realized that there's at least one sequence that I have no memory of at all from the first time that I read it. This is the arena scene. It's kind of like an interlude almost in between the two major parts of this book, and it just did not exist in my brain anywhere. But as I was seeing for the trailers for Dune Part 2, the movie, Dune Part 2, and seeing the scenes that were so clearly of Feyd-Rautha, the fighting and stuff like that, I couldn't figure out where they came from, because, I knew they had to exist in the book somewhere, but my mind had just no memory of that sequence at all. But it's a great sequence in the book, and it really sets things up for where the story is going to go after that part of the book, and I really enjoyed that. So I when I reread it, I was like, this is super cool. I'm really enjoying reading this, and so I'm glad that I did reread it, because if I hadn't, it would have been something that I had no memory of at all, and that I probably wouldn't have had any context for, because I just, for some reason, either maybe I accidentally skipped it the first time through, or maybe it was just wasn't paying attention. I don't know what it was, but for some reason I have no memory of that scene other than from this reread. And so I was excited to read it and then enjoy it as I read it. There's so much more that I could talk about in regards to this book, but for the sake of not getting too lengthy, I will end it here. But it's just, to me, it's just an interesting world, the way that the universe is set up in this series. Lots of history, lots of stories, lots of lore, etc. I do really want to continue the series, but I definitely needed to reread this first book again before moving on, because there was just a lot. I mean, for one, there's so much to it as it is, and then for two, I completely missed that one scene, had no memory of it, and then just getting a refresher on everything and putting it all into place was really beneficial for me. I totally get why some people consider this to be one of the greats of science fiction, and I've enjoyed it immensely both the times that I have read it. So I'm excited to continue on with the series when I do, and I do know that it's supposed to get more weird, more philosophical as you continue through the series, and I'm excited for that. I find that I really enjoy that stuff if it's done through the lens of storytelling, through the lens of good storytelling, maybe I should put it. Anyways, that is my review of Dune by Frank Herbert. Thank you guys for watching an Erudite adventure. We're posting a lot of videos at the moment, so we will see you guys again soon. Stay warm.